Ms. Johnson? So good evening, everyone. We still have 2 minutes before we officially start. If you would go ahead and place your name and your campus in the chat, as well as ensure that your first and your last name is on your screen showing. So you would just have to rename yourself if it's not showing. So we probably have less than a minute. If you would go ahead and turn your cameras on, place your name and your campus in the chat, as well as rename yourself if your first and your last name is not showing. We have about 45 seconds before we start. So good evening. We will officially start. Go ahead and turn your cameras on. Place your name and your campus in the chat. And also rename yourself if your first and your last name is not showing. Good evening. Hopefully everyone is well. I am Dr. Morton Ford, here for community. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully everyone is doing well tonight. To show our agenda, we'll be good stewards of our time. So you should have typed your name and your campus in the chat, just so that you can make an informed decision. I like to announce each time, and I will do it like just randomly, just so that you will know. And as a reminder, these sessions are recorded and they are reviewed by the registrars or the administrative attendance coordinators. So the recordings are reviewed as well as the chat. So that's why it's so important. If something happens to our recording, your information is in the chat. Your cameras are to remain on at all times. In the event that you have to walk away from the camera, place a message in the chat to me. You don't have to send it to everyone. What's going on? Even if you're having connectivity issues, place the information in the chat. If you get knocked out, which we know we're having all different types of weather all over now. And so if you get knocked off, just log back in. Everything is timestamped. Zoom keeps up with everything. Usually the Zoom is open for about maybe 15 minutes prior to start time. Sometimes, especially on exam day, I open up a little bit earlier than that, maybe 20 minutes. So if you're somewhere where you need to just go ahead and log in and that way that's open, do so. But just as a reminder, your camera needs to be on at all times. In the event that you have to walk away from the camera, leave it on, place a message in the chat. So welcome everyone. Welcome to community. Just a brief introduction about myself, and not necessarily in this order. I'm a health advocate. That's just something that I do voluntary, and what that encompasses is just seeing what needs to be done in the community, outside of the community, identifying a resource, being the resource. Another thing that I do with the health advocacy is I do these little health tidbit segments on the radio. So just breaking down information so that consumers of radio time can actually hear and understand and have a takeaway. So we do that. We do have as part of the health advocacy too, we have a sister to brother network where our focus is breast cancer survivors, where we actually gave them makeovers, and we do at least a monthly check-in. And it's, hey, how are you? You got your grocery list together? Which grocery store do we go to? Do you have your appointments? Have you made them? Do you need a ride? you know, and it's just pretty much just a check-in, and it's all voluntary. And so long-term care in the nursing home setting, in the variety of places there, MDS, assistant to the DON, the supervisor, the medication pass nurse, ICU, medical surgical ICU, the civilian nurse for the Air Force. You have your civilian side and your military side. So I wasn't a military person, but I was a civilian nurse taking care of our service men and women of the Air Force. In addition to that, a state surveyor. I know you all have heard of like JACO, where they come into the different healthcare facilities and, you know, they go just to watch and make sure that policies are being followed. And also presently, I am a clinical nurse researcher. Our focus is heart disorders, lung disorders, blood disorders, and sleep disorders. Our project is funded by the National Institutes of Health. We just go into different states and we gather information. And so that's just, and then for just not all of that at one time, just you know, over the last 20 something years. In addition to that, I forgot to mention clinical adjunct, lab simulation adjunct also. And then on my free time, I am an I don't want to say I'm a farmer, but I like to you know, plant little gardens. And so we've gathered today squash and okra. Yesterday we gathered some purple whole peas. So just a little bit about myself. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the PowerPoint. And you all should have heard this. We just want to ensure that you have the same message going forward for all your classes so that you can make informed decisions. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. Let's see, let's play this from the slideshow. Let's see how it goes. All right, again, welcome. So online learning is the same as the brick and mortar learning. Essentially, we just are in different places. But if you think about it, we're not in different places. We're all in this virtual setting at the same time. And so we can't just reach out and actually physically touch each other, but we really are still in the same setting. So online learning means using your computer, your internet access. It's no less learning, it's no less interactions. It is just as, you know, it means just the same. We interact via the course room. We have Zoom sessions. Sometimes you'll want to call, your text message. It's all part of the learning experience. The online instructor provides students guidance and leads the learning activity. So that means that you will be involved. We have case studies, we have Jamboards, where we're there to guide you and just kind of, you know, along the way. So you will take part of your learning, your learning. The online course includes weekly homework assignments, and we'll look at those toward the end. We'll actually look into the modules and the course syllabus. There are quizzes and there are 3 exams. And then of course, you know, you have your specialty exam at the end, the HESI. So your contact, I'm your first point of contact. And if it's something that I can't resolve, or I think that we need to get some more guidance on, for example, with the course lead, which is Professor Marvel, or with our online dean, Dean Brown, I'll say, hey, and add them in this email. Go ahead and let's let them know what's going on. So if they're, just to make sure that we're covering all bases. And like I said, sometimes they can identify resources or something else that can help us with resolving whatever the issue is. But I'm your first contact. Go ahead and send out email to the, you know, the Fortis email or either inside of the Canvas. Either way is fine. Under About Your Instructor, you will see my email there as well as my phone number. For continued concerns on your campus courses, your campus instructor is the first and foremost person. You also have that campus dean, like Dean Brown is our online dean, but then you also have your campus dean. Then as I mentioned, we do have course leads. The course lead is Professor Marvel. Then our online dean is Dean Brown. So it's you, myself, your campus dean and the course lead, and then our online dean. So you're just surrounded by people who care and are invested in your education and doing well in this course. As mentioned, I'm the first contact, available via email, Canvas messaging, and by phone. So communication etiquette, you want to state your thoughts in a courteous and positive and respectful manner. So throughout the course, you will have a group assignment. We will do activities during class where you'll be put in groups and asked to, just share your thoughts and feelings, and just be courteous and positive and respectful. Be mindful of how you express humorous or emotional statements. This sometimes can be misinterpreted. We might not mean any harm by it, but just stick to the whatever's being discussed. Keep your comments relevant to the discussion topic. And that'll kind of just keep us away from saying things that are offensive. Be considerate of others' experiences, feelings, and their perspectives. You don't have to agree, but we'll be respectful and just hear each other out. We want to use proper language and titles. We don't want to use slang. And of course, we know about typing in all caps. Don't type in all caps. Said that we're screaming at each other when we do that. So your online courses have specific starts and end times. Your classes are scheduled on a specific day with a start and an end time. So our class tonight started and I'm on Central Time Zone. So the way that your Canvas is set up on Pacific time, but the course, our meeting time is on Eastern Standard Time. So it is actually 9 on Eastern Standard Time. So don't get that mixed up. But inside of your course, when you're turning things, that is set up on Pacific time. So then whatever time zone you're in. So just be mindful of that. These classes are mandatory. Each live session you must attend. The Zoom sessions are recorded. They are turned in. We have reports. Go to Zoom, pull up the report. It's submitted to the online registers. And so they can see, who was here, who wasn't. Everything is timestamped. Courses, activities can include discussion questions, as I just mentioned, projects, papers, case studies, quizzes. We use Kahoots, Jamboards, like case studies, because you all like to get into those case studies and figure out what's going on. Discussion boards require the initial post by midnight on the Wednesday. And I think this is just true for all of your courses. So just go ahead and set yourself a reminder. You have to post those discussion, your initial post on Wednesdays by midnight, with responses to 2 peers by midnight on Sunday, that following Sunday. And for the most part, most of you all have already responded to that first discussion board anyway. So you are doing really well with being attentive and, working with your to-do list. Due dates are according to the syllabus week and posted in the course shell. But initial post on Wednesday, and then respond to your 2 peers by that Sunday. And this is week 1. So late work policy, submit on time. Late work is only accepted with prior approval from the instructor. You have to contact the instructor if you're going to be late. But also keep in mind that 1 to 7 days late will result in a 10% deduction. Remember, everything is timestamped. 8 or more days will result in a 0 for the assignment. Other thing to keep in mind is the way the courses are built, there is no room for extra credit. And every assignment matters. I can't stress that enough. Every assignment, every point, it matters. Because in the event, hopefully it doesn't happen, that you need not even a whole point, a half of a point. It is what it is. We can't adjust anything. We can't give anything. So it might have been that 10% that you lost because of turning something in 1 day late, 2 days late. At the end, every point matters. So go ahead and get your calendar out. If it's your electronic calendar, if it's your paper calendar, get it out and just kind of plot those things on there, so that, and you might want to just put it a day ahead. So that way, if you're running into something, because we do know life happens, and in the event that something comes up, you're you're already good because you've already planned for it to be completed a day prior to it's actually being due. Now, if you are, sometimes people have surgery scheduled, children have surgery schedules, or things are happening, go ahead and create a communication via email, include myself, Professor Marvel, and Dean Brown, because documentation, if you're going to be missing, huge chunks of things, chunks of time, go ahead and create that email so you can go ahead and start that communication so that you can be given the information that you will need to obtain for your record, so that that absence or whatever is, I don't want to say covered, but it's documented as why you were absent. Attendance in online courses. As you all know, I want to say, was it last term? Last term, they really went live with the attendance. So we'll talk about it once we get towards the end of this slide. But if you log in 1 minute after all the way up to 30 minutes after, you will be missing 15 minutes of your time. Over time, your attendance counts against you. So that 15 minutes, and we'll look at it more in depth, I think it's on the next slide. And you'll receive an attendance letter saying, hey, you've missed so much of class time, and it can result in a whole letter grade deduction. So like I said earlier, if you know that you're having a class on campus and your next class is online, but it's taking you, however many minutes to get home, traffic is kind of crazy in your area on certain days at certain times, it might be that you just need to stay on campus and ask, well, hey, is there a quiet room that I can sit in, so that you won't run the risk of logging in late, because at the end of the day, everything matters. Attendance will only be recorded during your assigned live session time. So I asked a few earlier, were you all in the correct session? And I know that, this week right here, you all were allowed to change. Some people end up in courses on the, day courses when they really were supposed to be in night courses. So just make sure that you have attended whatever was on your roster, or you have communicated to at least Dean Brown or your on your campus dean if you did not go to a class this week that was originally on your schedule. Attendance is taken by the instructor during the live session. And we actually pull those reports from Zoom to be counted as present in the class. Your full name should be on your screen. And then we do ask that you type in the chat your name and your campus. Ensure that your camera is on the entire time. Make sure it's not pointing in the ceiling. You cannot be at work or driving. And then we'll have to remove you from the session because it's just not safe. And if you just finished a shift and you are off work, and the same thing, if you think that time you can't get home in time to see that there's a quiet room at work, but you can't literally be at work sitting at the nurse's station or, putting up stocking or whatever it is that you're doing at work and be in class. So again, you will be removed from the session. Faculty will verify students' time in class of reviewing the login and logout times on Zoom. Everything is timestamped. Even if you arrive in the waiting area, don't worry. It's timestamped. It's showing that you're there. It's showing that you're there. Attendance missed will be recorded in 15-minute increments. So again, an example is you log in at 8:05. When attendance is turned in, you're counted as being present, but you lose 15 minutes because you're late. If you log in at 8:45, you will lose 30 minutes. So just make sure that, and then after so long, that adds up, and it really, really counts against you, because it runs the risk of dropping you a whole letter grade. Everything matters. Attendance, being on time, completing assignments, communication, everything matters, you all. Anyone without posting attendance 14 days in a row will be dropped without notification. There is no makeup work for missed attendance. So again, if you all were originally assigned to a course, not necessarily this one, but some of your other classes, and you did not attend it this week, make sure you've communicated and you switch like a class or something, you know, all kind of things happen. Make sure that's communicated somewhere because you're on their roll. And if you didn't show up, then, you know, it could negatively impact you. But if you go ahead and get communication started, then we can, you know, prevent some things from taking place because it's like a system automatically picks up that you are not in a class. Again, there is no makeup for missed attendance. The only thing that I can think of and it's not missed attendance, if there is a holiday that falls on the day of your class, which this is a Friday. I don't foresee any holidays on Fridays going from here to September. So, but if you're taking like a Monday class, a lot of holidays fall on Mondays, which we don't have another one to September. So if you do have a Monday class, your campus might be affected by it. And so they'll give you guidance. Dean Brown or your campus dean will give you guidance on what to do for that class. Because if it's deemed a holiday, then we officially don't meet, but you still have to do something for attendance that week. And they'll give us guidance as what that is. It could be, you know, a number of things. They'll give us guidance on that. Attendance is taken daily in class by the instructor and turned over to the registrars before the end of the class day. Early departures, tardies, and class cuts will be recorded in quarter-hour increments. A period of less than 15 minutes will be counted as a quarter hour of absence. So just think about the examples I just gave you. You clock in at 8:05, you're missing 15 minutes. If you clock in at 8:45, you're missing 30 minutes. Attendance records are maintained by the registrar, and I say attendance administrators, but the registrars, as part of your permanent academic record. Students with chronic absenteeism in excess of 20% of the scheduled hours, and it doesn't take long for those 15 minutes to add up to 20%. So students with chronic absenteeism in excess of 20% of the scheduled hours for a course may receive a failing or reduced grade for the course. So for example, you have an A, you could be dropped to a B. You have a C, you can be dropped to a D, all because of those attendance points being added up. So think about, you know, the day of your classes, not only this one, but all of your classes as a whole. What do you have to do? Work, life, home. And if you need to request that quiet room, you know, just think about it so that, you know, being late doesn't add up and count against you when you could have just stayed on campus or, you know, just asked for a designated place to attend your class. Attendance procedures for nursing courses. Students who are absent, and again, more than 20% of the scheduled time, will receive a full letter grade deduction at the end of the term. The online office will pull attendance weekly. And so I know, like I said, pretty much last term, they started actually sending out the notifications. So if you had 5%, or if you end up with 5% of scheduled time absent, you will receive an email through Campus View notifying you, hey, you're at 5%. And then you are required at 10%, you're required to meet with myself. 15%, your campus dean, and then and with Dean Brown. The level of intervention will be reliant upon the amount of time missed, and a student may not receive all levels of warning prior to missing the 20%. What that means is they have it set for you to get the notifications along the way, but you might not. But in the event that you don't, and you still end up with 20% of your time missed because you're late for courses or you just missed a whole class, you're still held accountable for that time missed, which equals you could still run the risk of being dropped a whole letter grade. So don't rely on those notifications, even though they're there and they send them out, but still just keep account of yourself. And like I said, just kind of pre-plan if you already know you're going to be missing some things or run the risk of, even if things changes, you think you may have something scheduled, a surgery or something scheduled, and it ends up getting canceled, still go ahead and start the communication. so that we can and talk about what documentation and what the correct course of action is to have everything documented. So steps to success. Review work that is due each week. So generally on Saturday or Sunday, it's Saturdays at the end of the week, but we will post for that next week. That's why we try to wait till Sunday, but sometimes we'll kind of post it on a Saturday even, which is for that next week. Everything that we're posting is on your syllabus and is on the module, but we kind of just narrow your focus. So we put that, everything for that week that's due. We try to put the PowerPoints, the notes, and all of that posting each week. You want to complete the reading assignments each week. It helps you to understand the concepts. It helps you to be able to complete your assignments. Complete their interactive lesson each week. You want to attend your live sessions weekly to get a better understanding of those concepts. And of course, remember, all live sessions are mandatory. You want to carefully read the directions and the rubrics to all assignments before starting them. So once you look at your rubric, that's your guide. That is what you're being held accountable for. It's sort of like the answers to the test. So when you finish your assignment, look at your rubric. Grade your own assignment. Well, if you know that if it says have 5 sentences that talks about bananas and you only have 3, looking at the rubric, you already know that you're going to receive so many points. So, but if you look at that rubric prior to starting that assignment, you already know, well, hey, I need 5 sentences or a paragraph about bananas. So I need to be doing my research and reading this assignment so I can come up with some information to submit about bananas. And that was just an example. You want to complete all assignments, every one of them. You want all your points. Papers, case studies, NCLEX questions. With your NCLEX questions, you can go in and retake those as many times as you like. Submit the highest score. Study and complete quizzes and exams. Now for the quizzes, I will do like a little overview with that posting on that Sunday or late Saturday. That kind of, narrows our focus for the quizzes. We do have 5 quizzes and 3 exams. And we'll have exam reviews, live exam reviews. We usually let you know about all of the professors' exam reviews. You can attend any of them. They are not mandatory. They are strongly encouraged. In any event that you do attend one, make sure that you type your name and your campus in the chat, because again, those is just like class. Those records are submitted for attendance. Okay, to be successful, keep in contact with me, the instructor, whomever your instructor is. Just stay in contact with us. If you foresee, well, hey, I have this going on, send an email so we can start thinking it through. Because sometimes you just need that other person that just kind of help you talk through something, no matter whatever it is. Have a reliable internet connection and a computer and a laptop. Now, we know these storms they've been just everywhere. And so you can have a reliable internet, and if a storm is coming, it's not so reliable. So that's why I told you initially, even if you're having connectivity issues, put the message in the chat. If you get knocked out of the Zoom session, log back in. Log back in. All that is kept up with. Maintain a schedule for completing your schoolwork. Get you an electronic calendar or paper calendar. Set your reminders in your phone. You will have to organize yourself, especially if you're taking more than one course. And as many of you mentioned in your discussion post, you chose Fortis because it was a fast pace. So it really is. So with that being said, you have to kind of pre-plan some things, kind of like write your pathway. Even if you have to adjust and rearrange things, go ahead and just kind of map it out. Well, on Mondays, I need to review whatever it is, just plot things on your calendar so you can get everything done, because you can do it, but it's just sometimes just taking out, making that schedule for yourself to complete those things. Identify a quiet place free from distractions to complete your work. And you want to read all assignments directions carefully so that you receive all of your points, so that you're not missing, you're turning in an assignment that's incomplete because you didn't read it through and then realize that you needed to have those 4 sentences, about bananas. So just make sure you read through all assignments for understanding. And if there are questions about assignments, please ask. You want to log into your class at least 4 to 5 times a week to stay connected and engaged. We will post announcements, and I'm not sure if you all get those automatic every time we post something in there. I'm not sure, but you do need to log into your course just to make sure we haven't updated anything, sent out more information. Like today, we got an announcement that D Brown for class changes. You needed to submit today by a certain time, Mountain Time. So log into your classes, and I'm not sure if you can have those things set so that it will automatically prompt you or inform you that, you know, announcement has been posted. If you can, make sure you set your course so that you will get those notifications. Review the course announcements at least weekly, because that's where we post things that you need to know. You know, every now and then we'll go in and send things out to everyone's email, but the course announcements is where things will be, updates, information will be. Submit all assignments on the week when they are due, including discussions. Like we talked about earlier, things for those discussion posts, your first one's due on that Wednesday, and your responses are due by that Sunday. We talked about that 10% reduction of grade if it's 1 to 7 days late. You want all your points. Towards the end of each week, review assignments for the next week. Go ahead and start looking. Like you all got that first discussion post, you all posted that by Wednesday. By now, which is Friday, you should have already started looking at the next week. Just go ahead and just look at it, because I'm here to tell you that friend called procrastinator is not our friend. You know, we all are plagued with it sometimes, but just go ahead, even if you just don't do anything, but just look at it and just glimpse of, okay, so this is what we're doing next week, and just put it away. But at least you're kind of thinking and formulating your mind the things that will be due for that next week. Just remember, things are fast paced, and for the most part, you all are taking more than one course. So by now, you all should have logged into your Canvas. If you've had problems, submit the help desk ticket. And along the way, if you have problems with any of the resources, the NCLEX, the exam software, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, your Canvas, submit those help desk tickets, because what'll happen is sometimes little things just happen, the compatibility, or they do like a update, and then, you know, something happens with you trying to log in, but they really are good about responding and getting people back where they need to be. Click on the instructor information, just have our information somewhere, because something can happen, you know, at a moment's notice, and you need to send a communication to me via text or email. But for the most part, if you just type our last name in, there are not that many of us with the same last names. We pop up when you start typing in our email. You want to put that syllabus, have it somewhere so you can refer to it, because that's where everything is all lined up, and therefore you can just keep it. You just keep it in your mind, what's due, so you don't get caught up with that procrastination and being late. You want to confirm that you have the correct textbook edition. This is what some students have been running into, because with some of the classes, they changed the edition. And so what do you find that out at? You will look in your resources, and it should have the correct edition there. But look on your syllabus, make sure your syllabus and your textbooks that's in your resources say the same thing. There were a few that actually changed an edition. And if you have the wrong edition, submit that help desk ticket to whomever that book belongs to, and they'll get you the correct access code so that you can get the correct edition of that book. So you want to come to class prepared to discuss, to participate, attend additional review sessions offered by the faculty. What we've done in the past is we will give you, here probably next week, we'll give you all of the review sessions, so you can go ahead and plot those on your calendar as well, so you can decide which ones you're going to go to. You don't necessarily have to go to mine, but it's strongly encouraged that you attend at least one live review session. And also, we have in the past shared the recording so that you can go and view those at your leisure. So that, I think that's still the plan. Meet with the faculty to discuss difficult concepts during our office hours, and meeting during my office hours, that means we have to go be on Zoom. We can actually do it over the phone. So don't be afraid to reach out. Hi, I'm having trouble understanding, what do you need to know about bananas? Let's talk about this concept. So it could be over the phone, it could be via Zoom. In the event that you need to schedule tutoring sessions, I've actually already put a Google form out there for you. You can look and see the times that I have available, and you can just sign up if that's what you need. In addition to that, there is a math tutor. Last term and the term before, there was a math tutor on most of you all's campuses. They will work one-on-one in person with you. So if math is one of those things that you need additional assistance with, go ahead and reach out. Identify those resources that you have at your different campuses. And I'm not sure if it's in person or via Zoom. It might be both. Identify those resources. Take the time to invest in you doing well in the courses. And again, as I just mentioned, if you're having technical difficulties logging in, contact technical support. And this is or your instructor, you can let me know. But remember, go ahead and submit that help desk ticket. They have been really, really good about getting us back on track. Oh, wow, I'm thinking about this. So once ExamSoft opens up, ensure, especially for those that have changed courses, not necessarily this course, but also this course. If you were originally assigned to a different course, when ExamSoft opens up, and I think it's on a slide, but I'm just going to say it here and I'll repeat it when we get there as well. Make sure when you log into ExamSource, we will actually send a link so that you can do a practice exam. And what the practice exam is, ensuring that your computer is compatible, because ExamSoft does its little updates. So you might have not had any problems last term, but then when you log into ExamSoft, you can't go past go because your computer is not and ExamSoft are not liking each other right then. So ensure that you go through the practice exam in ExamSoft just to make sure that your computer's set up. Sometimes it doesn't like your settings with your camera. It just whatever their system requirements are and your computer requirements. If you bought a new computer, make sure you go through the practice exam before the date of the exam, just to ensure that you're all set to go, because you don't need that added stress of, I can't get into ExamSoft, I can't get to my exam. Just bought this new computer. The other thing, if you were originally assigned to another course, this is for any of your courses, when ExamSoft opens up, which I think it'll be next week, ensure that ExamSoft has your correct course in there, because it might be 208, but it might be 208. It might still be 208 that morning session that you were originally in. So make sure that everything matches, that you're in the correct course, as well as make sure ExamSoft has the correct course loaded in there, because on exam day, what's going to happen? You won't be able to take the exam because the code that we give you won't match that code for that class. So make sure everything matches. Okay, other learning activities. So this is just a different way of looking at what we just said so that we can, you can be successful. We do have review sessions. They're not mandatory, but highly encouraged. Sessions are held outside of class time. That's our office hours. Even if you just want to talk about one concept, I said, just send a message, hey, I need to log into that Google Docs and sign up for a time. You're encouraged to attend review sessions of other instructors to hear the same thing in a different way. And then we do know that the more you hear stuff anyways, it just sticks with you. You have a better understanding. And if you have, it helps you to also identify questions that you might have. Attendance is taken in those review sessions. Place your name in your campus in that chat. Okay, and then what we found out is students that participate actively in these two interventions, meeting one-on-one and also attending those live review sessions, tend to have higher testing scores. This last HESI exams, we had students blowing it out the water, more than 900 points. It was just really, they did really, really well. But you have to put the time in. as many as 20 points higher in their course by doing that one-on-one and attending those live review sessions. So we do know that you have your key graded assignments, which we say KGA. So those include quizzes, which you'll have 5 of those. Your HESI specialty exam, which is always doing week 11. And then your unit exams. I want to say it's 4, 7, and 10, but we'll look at it when we look at the modules. But nevertheless, you have 3 unit exams, that 1 HESI specialty exam, and then those 5 quizzes. Those take up the bulk of the 100%. Those take up 80% of your KGA, of your grade. Those are your KGA, your key graded assignments. So out of 100%, 80% of your grade comes from those 3 exams, that 1 specialty exam, and those 5 quizzes. Every point matters. So keep in mind, you must have that 78% prior to and addition to the homework assignments. So for your homework assignments, you have those in-class questions. Remember, you can take those as many times as you like. Download the PDF with the highest score. You have your project, your HESI prep assignment, your case studies, and your group project. Those are added in as well, but you have to have a 78% on your key graded assignments in addition to your homework assignments. So throughout the course, usually like halfway through, week 1 through 5 homework scores will be turned off. So the only thing that you'll be turning in assignments, but the only grades that you'll see is your key graded assignments. They're there, but it's just to keep you focused on, you must have that at least 78% on those key graded assignments. Then halfway through, we'll show you the impact of your homework. We'll turn on the homework grades, as we say, we'll turn them on. But remember that 78% must be met. That should be the focus. Because many times students say, well, my grade went this way, but then when we turned it back off, it went that way. Remember, it must be that 78% in order for things to really count. Remember, there is no room for extra credit. So everything matters. And that HESI at the end, which you're building, you're gathering information along the way, which we'll talk about that HESI prep assignment. You're gathering information along the way to prepare for that HESI exam. Your combined score on all quizzes, unit exams, and specialty exams in the course must be 78% or above before any credit for completed homework is given. Well, I have 100% on my homework, and I have a 76% on my key graded assignments. Remember, you have to have that 78% on your key graded assignments before any credit is completed or given for the homework. A minimum passing grade of a C, 78% is required for a successful completion of the course after the homework scores are added in. So quizzes are part of that KGA that will be completed in class. You will come in and we'll give you that 15 minutes to take the quiz. So just know, prepare for those. Those are given during class. The first one is next week. So we'll take the 15 minutes and let you take the quiz. And there are usually just 10 questions. Each time there are 10 questions. Be sure to submit the quiz so that it will show that it actually make sure it goes through, because it's automatically, whatever you make it, it's automatically loaded up to the grade book. Exams will be scheduled and given through ExamSoft. If you have lost or don't know where your ID is, you need your ID. Go ahead and get that. You will need your ID for exams. Before exams are given, you have to show your ID. Go ahead and pick out your dedicated workspace. They're given online during our class time. If you think that you will need to have an exam proctored on campus, You need to be thinking about looking at your whole schedule, work, life, home, everything as a whole, because it might be that you need an exam proctor on campus one of those days. There are things that have to take place in order for you to take that exam on campus. You can't just say, hey, the day before or the day of, I want to take my exam on campus. It doesn't work like that. So go ahead and look at your calendar and see if that's something that you need. It might not be. Go ahead and get your ID. And as I mentioned earlier, ensure when we send out, when ExamSoft opens up, make sure, especially if you change courses or sections of courses, make sure ExamSoft has your correct course in there, a correct course and session. You are only allowed one attempt. You cannot stop, pause, and resume during the exam. If you're having technical difficulties, stop the exam and notify the instructor. Can't wait until you get to question number 49 and say, hey, I've been having technical difficulties this entire time. You need to notify us immediately if you're having some type of issue. Remember, the exams are timed, so make sure you pay attention to your time. So work on your time. Anyone with accommodations need to notify your instructor. This is for all of your courses at the beginning of the term, because we might not know about your accommodations. So if you need accommodations or if you have accommodations, there's a process. I'm not sure what it exactly is, but contact your campus dean if you think you need accommodations. If you already have accommodations, ensure, go ahead and let me know via email so that I can contact your campus dean to see what it is. Because if you need accommodations, we should provide those for you. So notifications less than 10 days before an exam may not be able to be granted. Therefore, there is a process that must be followed. So if you need those accommodations, or if you already have them, just make sure that your paperwork is up to date and that all of your instructors every term at the beginning gets all of the information that we need so that those accommodations are provided. Exams are held during your scheduled class time. The exceptions only with written approval by Dean Brown. Of course, those, if you want that exam proctored on campus, we have to include our course lead and Dean Brown in on it, because they have to find a person, they have to find a designated space and time. So it's a process to that. So they said give at least 72 hours prior notice so that those things can be worked out, because we want to provide that for you if that's something that you think you will need. Not taking an exam during scheduled class time will result in an absence. So lecture time is not being, you will not be able to make that up. Exams are Zoom proctored. You must be on camera the entire time. That's nothing new. Your camera should be on anyways, anytime that you're in class. You must show your photo ID. You're not sure where it is, just go ahead and get you another one. You have a couple of weeks before we actually need it. You will have to show that on exam day. You will need to show your testing environment just to ensure that, everything is, you don't have any resources available during that time. You must show, in the event that if you have religious exemptions, please ask to discuss the issue with me so that we can provide, so that appropriate accommodations will be granted in the event that is something that, that you need. Do not assume that we know about your special requirements. Go ahead and let us know. And again, just remember that your camera should remain on at all times during this session or any time. And so when you see your attendance and it's minus 15 minutes or 30 minutes, just remember that you turned your camera off. I'm just keep throwing that in there so that you won't, forget that. So missed exams will be held to the late work policy. Exams missed without prior notice will result in a 0. Exam missed for personal reasons will result in a late penalty. Exams missed due to an emergency, things happen. You're gonna need documentation. They put a boot on your car at school or wherever you were at, and it's only gonna take a minute before they actually come and take the boot off. Go ahead and start communicating that. Get your documentation, so that you can provide proof is what was going on. This documentation must be submitted to the National Dean and the online nursing education. National Dean of Online Nursing Education. Notification must occur within 24 hours of the scheduled exam. Documentation must be presented prior to the exam being rescheduled. Any exam not rescheduled within 7 days of the class time will result in a 0. Now, when you get to HESI time, your campuses will have individual instructions about scheduling that, because there are some of the campuses have different instructions about scheduling that and what you can do and when you can do it and all of that. So, but that'll come. Did I? May have to stop sharing and restart. Hold on, my little PowerPoint. It stopped on me. And share it again. So again, if you have to walk away from the camera, leave your camera on. The message in the chat from current slide. Here we go. All right. Missed exams would be held to the late policy. We talked about that. Again, contact myself with issues that may prevent you from being successful on exam before the exam. For example, like I said, the example about having the boot on your card, or your power's out, computer has crashed. Send a message. And ensure a thing that we ran into, sometimes your computer, and I don't know if it's I don't know what the reason why it really was being done, but sometimes, during your exam, you have to be visible the entire time. Ensure that your computer doesn't have any quirky settings where it's turning off things so that you're not visible at all times. So make sure that, your computer doesn't have any settings that's going to make things trivial. Contacting your instructor with issues after you have submitted your exam has removed any ability for us to work with you. You submit your exam, then you say, hey, I just want to let you know I had problems with connecting, something was going on with the, exam soft, but you submitted the entire exam. That's gonna remove any ability for me, Dean Brown, or anyone to really be able to do anything. So communicate. We want you to be successful, but it requires you communicating before, and during, while things are happening. So contact myself if you have any problems, or if you would like to just have some additional help. Because sometimes it's that we just need to talk about, hey, well, I got all this going on. I need to, rearrange things. What do you think about this right here? Sometimes the discussion is not about coursework in itself. It is just, having a sounding board and just helping think through issues, and also identifying resources. There might be a resource or something that I might know about and can identify for you. Plan your time. Remember we said good old procrastination is not our friend. So look at that syllabus, and then look at your modules, look at those due dates, and just go ahead and plot things so that you can, even if you have to rearrange them. So this slide right here is just showing you how they've taken the syllabus and just kind of plotted things, whether or not you can do that electronically or on paper. And even if you have to rearrange things, it gives you an idea of what you need to be doing and when. So you can weave in and take care of home and work and life as well, all those other parts that we have to take care of. Late work policy, refer to your college catalog, page 40. We have to adhere to that. This is a repeat slide, but we need to make sure that we all understand it. Late work will not be accepted without prior approval from the instructor. If the instructor approves the submission of a late assignment, remember, there's a 10%. You could have gotten it, completed the assignment perfectly, but there's going to be 10% taken away from it, but just because it was 1 to 7 days late. So go ahead and pre-plan so that you can get things turned in on time, and you keep all of your points. This is directly from the college catalog, which is the guidance that we have to go by. It's not, my thoughts, is what we signed up for. So this is their policy. So we have to abide by it. So your in-class questions, we talked about that. Use the link that is in the course in Canvas. Ensure that you download the PDF and that's what you upload. Upload the correct one, the one that you want to be entered. Make sure you're uploading the correct one. The other thing is studies have found that students that, and I can't remember the exact number of in-class questions, if you review that certain number, reviewing a question includes answering the question, looking at what the correct answer was, the incorrect answers, the rationale, looking at all of that. Studies have shown that helps prepare you for the HESI as well as sitting for that NCLEX one time and moving on. Because you're looking at everything. You're going back through all the concepts and things that you should have thought about. So when you do those NCLEX questions, look at those rationales. So again, look for the link, click on the link, and that should take you directly to save your information as that PDF. It's nothing that you need to copy and paste. Save your results as a PDF and then upload that document. And we pull whatever score is there. If you take it 10 times, you want to submit the PDF with the highest score. Don't just pick one and submit, because what we pull the score from the one that you actually turn into us. Okay, once submitted, the score you submitted will be the score you will receive. You can repeat the questions as many times as you like to obtain the highest score. But only turn out, and you say, why she keeps saying, because students have turned in, not their highest score, but that's what you turned in, so that's the score you got. So make sure that when you're uploading that PDF, that you're uploading the correct one with the higher score. Screenshots are not acceptable. Download the PDF and upload that. There's no bonus points for getting most correct. It's just whatever your score is, that's what it is. You get those points. HESI review, HESI case studies and practice exam. That's just a additional resource that helps you just understand those concepts. So and then I think in some of your other courses, you might have been introduced to CJSIM, but not in this course. We don't have CJSIM. It's another resource that they've identified to help you. It's like a case study, but it's another resource that helps you understand your concepts. So use the links that are in Canvas. It takes you directly to what you need, where you need to be. Case studies and practice exams must be assessed through the Canvas course module. If you have a link that's not working, let me know. So it might be that we need to submit a ticket. More than likely it will be that we need to submit a ticket to the help desk. Like I said, they're pretty good about getting back with us pretty quickly. You cannot, case studies and practical exams assessed through your Evolve account will not be accepted without prior approval, written approval from Dean Brown. So you need to use the links that are in there. Do not use your personal Evolve account. So grades will transfer to the grade book automatically. It automatically populates. Access is required through the Canvas course module link. Only complete the case study for the link that is accessed. And don't go in there looking around if you're not ready to actually take it, because it won't let you do it but one time. So completing other case studies at this time will result in lower grades, as well as missed attendance later in the term, because remember, attendance is directly related also to your assignment. So it picks up on whether or not you're clicking in stuff and you're turning it in. That equals your attendance. So that's how attendance is also taken. So like I said, just make sure you stick to what's assigned. Again, screenshots are not accepted. Access by any other method will result in a 0 for the assignment. So let the instructor know if you're repeating the course, because it will have to be reset for you. So writing papers and discussion posts, remember, stick to the topic, and you want to cite your sources. whatever it is that you are referring to. You want to paraphrase, put things in your own words. You want to give credit for where you got the information from. You want to cite your sources. So select the link for the paper assignments, and we'll talk about this group thing here in just a moment. So all of your details, if you go inside of your modules, it tells you the assignment details. It tells you specifically what you need to do, how many pages, right? A 2 or 3 page paper APA format. So specifically follow those instructions for each assignment. We talked about looking at your rubric. Look at that rubric. It says the first paragraph should include concise summary of key points of the article. So when you look at your what your assignment that you're turning in, and you do not have, the summary is not concise, look at it and see how many points you get. But if your summary is concise and you have key points, look at your rubric before turning in your assignment. And so that you can go back and refine it, revise it if you need to. So use the APA, the 7th edition, to help you cite and reference your sources. You don't want to use sources that are older than 5 years. So be sure that they are no more than 5 years old. Make sure your research relates to your topic. Make sure you're staying on topic and not just writing, something about something that's not the topic. You want to give your rationale, explain your argument in your own words. Summarize key points, paraphrase. So taking quizzes and exams, we talked about, you will have those 5 quizzes that you'll take during class. So for next week, we will actually take the quiz toward the end of class. And then the next weeks, we'll take it right when we come in. So be prepared for that. And you will be given those 15 minutes to take your quiz. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything off this slide right here. Nursing exams and quizzes are timed. You can only complete them once, yes. So you only complete them one time. We talked about that. Technical issues during a quiz or an exam, please communicate that. Do not continue or try to continue if you're having technical issues. Because once you get to the end and it's submitted, it is what it is what you submitted. Notify the instructor immediately and communicate through the chat. Hey, I'm having a problem. So give me time. I'll give the instructor time to respond. Don't move forward because remember, there are several of you. And so we might be working on something else with another student. So we'll need time. So don't think we're ignoring you and you just go on through the exam or the quiz and have negative outcomes. Just wait, be patient. Things that we will do, we will verify issues by reviewing the log. We'll review the number of times the student stopped viewing the test. So all this stuff is timestamped. We will review how many questions were seen. And then sometimes ExamSoft will ask you to get a resume code, but it'll tell you that this is nothing that you have to remember. If you need a resume code, ExamSoft will pick up on something going on or with your camera or something with its requirements, and it'll tell you to ask for a resume code. So you just type that in the chat and we'll give it to you, and then you just pick back up and keep on moving. Things faculty will not do: allow a retake of an exam due to technical issues or problems, other physical or emotional issues when the majority of all the questions have been answered by students or time has run out. No matter how big or small you think it's going to be an issue. Technical problems, that is an issue. Emotional things, just life happens to us, things happen. Communicate that prior to. Don't take the whole exam and say, well, I had this going on and I might not should have taken the exam. Then please communicate so we can identify what your choices are. The specialty exam is talking about the HESI. Each campus has their own instructions. For the most part, they are given in a proctored environment. There's only one attempt at the HESI. Geriatrics, you will have 2 attempts with that. You will have an assigned date and time for the exam. It's not given during, Friday nights at 9 o'clock. There's an assigned date and time. This exam, remember, is part of your key graded assignments. As we move through all of our assignments, our quizzes, our unit exams. You're collecting all of the information or the tools that you will need to be able to sit for this exam and do well. This exam counts for 20% of your testing grade. The benchmark is 900. So no matter what you make, you still will have to do remediation. That's usually that last week. And then once you take the exam, it identifies what you need to do, the topics that you need to look over to get your remediation time in. And we'll post this again toward the end, this schedule. But just remember, you know, along the way, while we're doing these assignments, while we're doing these case studies, these jam boards, all of this is so that you will have a good understanding of the concepts. You've made the connection. So when you sit for these exams, you will do well without a problem. Exam security, you must have your photo ID, a school badge. Even if it's not asked for, you still must have it and say, hey, I need to show you my ID. You must be on cameras at all times. Full face must be visible at all times. Failure to show photo ID or not be fully visible at any point may result in the exam or course failure. And I'm just checking my chat, make sure I'm not missing anything from anybody, okay? Let's see, back over here. Review and questions. Are you prepared to sit for the specialty exam? What remediation could your online instructor review with you to help you prepare? We do have a HESI review as well as unit exam reviews. For your quizzes, I will submit a recording that helps just talk about the concepts and narrow your focus with that. What concepts covered in homework assignments that you find challenging or difficult to understand? Those are going to be the topics that you should start with first when you're reviewing and prepping for an exam. If you struggle with, you know, whatever that concept is, that's going to be your starting point when you're reviewing and prepping for that exam. Be prepared to discuss how care is continued once the patient is discharged from the acute care facility. Remember, you know, they don't stay in the hospital. The people that were in the hospital, they come home. They're in the community. So you're providing that continuation of care in a different setting. How can a nurse maintain professionalism if they are not part of the hospital-based system? So we're going into the homes. We're at the community centers. We still want to be professional. Do the requirements for a nurse change based upon the surroundings they work in? What is the nurse's accountability, whether on or off duty? You are that go-to person. You're in nursing school, so you're going to be called upon. You're going to be considered the expert about everything. You're going to be that person that they're going to call and ask, well, hey, what do you think about this? Because I want to say for the last 5 or 6 years, nurses have been listed as the most trusted profession out of all the professions. We beat out firefighters and all those others. So now we're going to turn to our syllabus and our module, and then we will look at that HESI prep assignment, and then we will talk about your groups here. So let me pull up the syllabus. Again, if you have to step away to go to the restroom or whatever, leave your camera on, just put me a message in the chat. All right, let's go to your syllabus here. So we'll take our break at the end. So I know our course goes to, was it 9:40? So that means we'll end at 9:30 because we'll take our 10 minutes at the end. And like I said, if you need to go to the restroom or go grab something to drink real quick, just do that. Leave your camera on and put a message in the chat. We'll just keep pressing on. So here is our syllabus, and it has everything listed here as well. It's the same thing that's listed in your modules. It's just a different way of looking at it. So remember, your out of class work, you should be averaging 3.3 hours per week doing your community work. Looking at your assignments, your reading assignments, completing your discussion questions. 3.3 hours per week at a minimum. So therefore, you're spending enough time with the content so that you understand them, and then also that you can reach out and know what questions you have. This course provides a student with an introduction to promoting health and wellness with individuals in diverse community-based settings. Whether or not it's the school nurse, whether or not you're the parish nurse, you're at the church, the community center, you're in their home, is wherever they're having an event at the park, and your organization is setting up a table, and you're providing those primary interventions. So you're just providing education about whatever the topic is. Key concepts that are covered in this course include wellness promotion, those primary interventions, and we'll get into all of that. Independence, interdependence, discharge planning, chronic illnesses, HIV, healthcare delivery environments such as outpatient clinics, homes, and diagnosis-based care centers. A community project provides an opportunity to examine population groups along the age continuum in the community. So here is those your textbooks that we will need. So community is a compilation of your OB, your med-surg. These are the same people that you were taking care of in that acute care setting. They're just at home. The mom, she's had a baby, so now the mom and the baby are at home. The child is in school now. So those settings just have changed. These are the same people. So community really isn't new information, so to speak. It is just a different setting with that. And you're having to take care of them after they have recovered from a sickness or injury that they've had. So again, if you are having problems with any of these additions, just send a help ticket desk, because it might be that you just need a different access code so that you can be able to look at the correct addition. So we're going to look at all of this too under the modules. I just want to show you this right here so that you can see where your syllabus was and what it looks like. And it's divided out by the weeks. Whatever view that you need to look at it, modules has the same thing. It's just lined up different, but it all says the exact same thing. These are the course objectives that we will be meeting when you're going through these different activities. These are the concepts for each week. Okay, let's switch gears and look at our module here. Let's go to module. And so far, I do not see any questions in the chat. So just make sure if you have a question, place it in there so we can answer them. All right, let me share my screen here. Healthy People 2030, that never will go away. They just changed the year, but Healthy People 2030 is a resource that we use, that they use in all of our courses. So you will see Healthy People 2030 all along the way. Like I said, that shouldn't be a new resource for you. So for this week, you have to do your discussion question, vulnerable populations, identify one in your area. And there's a larger project. So hopefully you pick one that you were really interested in, or was near and dear to you, or something that you really wanted to be impactful with, because with that, you can actually use that same vulnerable population that you identified in week 1 in a later project. And you'll see, we'll talk about it I'll show you in just a few. Okay, and so we'll take our first quiz next week. We'll take it toward the end of class for week 1, but for week 2, we'll take quiz 1 toward the end. And you will be allowed those 15 minutes to take it. You will be on camera. So again, you have another discussion question to post. And your activities are reading through the school nurse and lead exposure. So for week 3, migrant farm workers, rural populations, homelessness, poverty. And then you'll begin working on that vulnerable populations project that is not due until week 10. But you know, you can't wait till week 9 to complete it, or week 10 to complete it. So that's just there for you to, hey, let's go ahead and start looking at that. And those links should be in there for those NCLEX questions. Then you have a quiz every week, other than when you have your unit exam. So week 4 is when you have your first unit exam. We will have a review session prior to that. Okay. Activities, pregnant adolescent, LGBTQIA population, mental illness. You have that case study. Remember, don't go in there looking around. Click on, follow that link, pick that specific case study, and that's the one that needs to be completed. And if you can't just peek it in and come out, because it's going to grade you on what you actually went in there and did. Okay, then the weeks that you're not having an exam, you have a quiz. So first exam is week 4. And then your second exam is week 7. So 4, 7, and 10, that last exam is unit 3, the unit 3 exam. And then that next week you have HESI. So we don't have anything that you can get done prior to when things are due. Go ahead and get them done, because as time goes along, it goes really fast. It goes by really fast. So we'll talk about this HESI prep assignment too. And it's something that you work on throughout this term. And it's due in week 9. It's due right here. So let me see if I can pull it up for you.
Excuse me, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
HESI prep assignment due in week 9. Do you want that typed up, or can we write it out?
Either or, just make sure that, I can just understand if you write it out. Either or, it's fine.
Okay, we just followed a rubric pertaining to the nursing assessment, pretty much.
Exactly. You're exactly right. That is exactly what you do. So you have these topics. For example, anthrax incubation, smallpox. Let me see, can I get it open here? Ebola. And you want to use ADAPI to guide you through it. As you complete the assignment, please use the nursing process in ADAPI. I'm going to actually, this one doesn't give you the directions here at the top. What I do is I'll upload the assignment in the announcement section, because this one does not give you the guidelines. But as you complete this assignment, you want to start today, if you can, just scan it and look at all the different topics. They are Ebola, sarin, level 1, 2, 3 disaster, red tag triage, COVID-19, vertical transmission. Some of these topics you might know about already, but as we go through and work through the different reading assignments, go ahead and plug it in. But as she mentioned, you want to use the nursing process and ADAPI guidelines when addressing and completing each topic. And I will do that tonight. I'll go back in and upload this, the correct format, so you can go ahead and start plugging your information in. Each topic and concept will require critical thinking skills on how to apply the nursing process from assessment to evaluation. ADAPI. We will be reviewing this document frequently in class throughout the term. This is intended to be completed weekly of the topics that we're going through, but you don't have to wait until then. You can go ahead and fill in your document, because it is due. So it is an assignment. Also, these topics, remember, it's a HESI prep assignment. You have HESI in week 11. So these topics, everything from assessment to evaluation, might end up on your HESI. It might be a HESI question. And so you'll need to be looking at it, completing it because it's an assignment, and also reviewing it because you're going to need the information to do well on your HESI.
So we need to use the resources given to look up these topics then?
Exactly.
Like our book and everything else, because that's where the HESI will come from. Okay.
It is. It's all your information, the questions and the things that are on HESI is all the information that you have been exposed to, throughout your courses about the different topics. Now, specific questions we don't know what those specific questions are, but we do know these are the topics that are on there. Let me go back to that. That's the assignment is due in week 9, but we advise you to, and it's something that you can't just sit down in a day and just complete it. Not, not with your best work, you can't. So I will upload the assignment with the instruction, the directions, because that one didn't have the directions. I put that in the announcement section. And just look at the topics and just pick out 2 or 3 and just go ahead and fill in your information. But use the nursing process Attapie to guide you completing the assignment. And this is your vulnerable populations project here. You will actually create a PowerPoint about a vulnerable population in your area. And our time is about to run out, you all. I was gonna do our groups. We got time, we have time to do the groups, but because we only have 1 minute. But so any other questions before our minute is up? So I like to be good stewards of people's time. Any questions?
Question. I'm sorry. So you want that done Sunday on the 3rd, or you want it done Saturday on the 2nd of September?
So everything is due that Sunday, but remember, depends on what time zone you're in. And remember, the course is set up in Pacific time. We meet on Eastern time. So it depends on, is that Sunday by midnight, whatever your midnight is. That might turn down some confusion, because it's like, because I'm on Central time, but you might be on Eastern time, but the course shell is set up on Pacific time. So, but just keeping that in mind that it is Sunday by midnight. Whatever your midnight is, just go ahead and turn it in.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, so it is, like I said, we're taking our 10 minutes at the end. Send any questions that you have for me, and we'll get you an answer, a resolution. You all take care, and we'll see you next week. Happy learning. And I'll stick around for a few minutes if you all want to do some one-on-one. We still have, if you need to. If not, I'll see you next
I
week.
have a question for you. I sent you a text today. I was all discombobulated this morning, and I tried to log on this morning, and that was because the school switched me from my evening curriculum to day. And I didn't realize that your thing started at 9 p.m. and I was trying to log on it at 9 a.m. So they switched because nobody passed except for me and another lady. And they said